Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test. Today we're talking about crashes, what kind of crashes there are, and how to prevent those crashes because you have some techniques and strategies in place that will make you a safer, smarter driver. Stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you this afternoon about being a safer, smarter driver, knowing about crashes, knowing that nobody is immune from crashes. Everything's working, I think. Excellent. I know I got a little delayed on the introduction there and it was a bit wacky. But anyway, here we are talking about crashes. So today I am driving to Ontario this afternoon as soon as I'm finished the live stream, so I'm probably going to finish a few minutes early today. But we will get through the presentation. We will answer any questions you have about learning how to drive, passing a driver's test, becoming a safer, smarter driver. So that's what we're doing today. That's what we're talking about. And I just get down here to the information that I need. So if you have any questions, you want to say hi, tell us where you're from in the world. Most of you are going to be in North America here and be able to help you out. I know it's the busiest time of the year for us and for you. It's summertime and lots of free time to go and get your driver's license. There are some issues with some of the states, some of the provinces in terms of backlog, getting an appointment and those types of things. So some of the ways that you can kind of speed up getting yourself a driver's test is keep phoning, keep checking the internet every day, those types of things. Go with a driving school because driving schools have time slots. So if you can afford that, then do that, whatnot. Because you might be able to go a little bit sooner. Yes, it might cost you a little bit more money, but you will get a test faster as well. Get yourself on the cancellation list if that happens and whatnot, so you can get into there. But again, just be vigilant if you're having trouble getting a driver's test and getting an appointment for your on-road test because you want to get going there. My friend Goose is here. Two people tomorrow morning whom I have never met, each going for their G1 exit test back to back. Awesome. With me beforehand, best advice, Goose, just go over the basics, make sure that they're shoulder checking, make sure they're looking far down the road, and make sure they're managing space around the vehicle. That's usually what I do with students that I haven't been with before, and, pre-trip inspection on your vehicle and whatnot, but that's about all you can do. Two from New York. Hello, website. Hello, my friend. FM is tuning in from Surrey, BC. No pun intended in terms of tuning in. And I have another kind of revelation today. Hit another girl in Kentucky with no driver's license or insurance, and that is unfortunate, serious that happens, but unfortunately it does happen sometimes. I do encourage you not to drive without insurance, okay? If nothing, you can drive without a driver's license because that's just a fine and there's not a big deal, but do have insurance on your vehicle so if something happens, people are going to get, things are going to get fixed and whatnot, especially if you end up in the hospital. That's really awful. All right. Yes, I am excited about my trip. I am very excited about my trip here. I am ready to go. I haven't been out of here for like 2 years because of COVID. It's so crazy. So, yes, the buggy's packed, the buggy's washed, waxed, cleaned, detailed. We are ready to go. And it's my son's birthday today, which is pretty exciting. So he's excited about that as well. So here we go. Presentation. Let's get going to the presentation here and talking about car crashes. My friend Rocky is here. Serious. Yes, it wasn't you and always there, but for the grace of God, go I. Yes, and Goose, there's one more thing. Maybe you can call me in the next couple of days and talk to me on the phone. I just want to talk to you about something else as well. Something else that we were talking about on Saturday that came to mind that I would let you know. And Mallory is here from Nova Scotia, which is 3.5 hours ahead. Jam is here. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so let's get going here. We're talking about car crashes. Thank you for the wishes for my son there. That's awesome. 10 years old. Hard to believe it was 10 years ago. So today we're talking about car crashes. As you can see, there's lots of information about crash test ratings for vehicles. If that is something that is a concern for you while you're buying a motor vehicle, there's heaps and heaps of information out there about cars and their safety ratings. And one of the organizations in the States does excellent work for that. My friend Lightning is here from South Africa. Hello, my friend. Miriam is here from London, Ontario, which is the direction I am heading. Okay, so for those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. Was a truck driver in the 1990s, running freight between Canada and the United States, mostly the eastern seaboard, but I did make it west of the Mississippi River a couple of times. Became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. Earned my doctorate in legal history in 2006 from the University of Melbourne in Australia. And legal history, for those of you who may or may not know, is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic, oddly enough. I started the Smart Drive Test YouTube channel in 2015. Just a couple of weeks ago, we turned over 200,000 subscribers, which is just phenomenally successful. So really incredible. As well, my new goal on the channel, because as you may or may not know, the channel is not a subscriber-based channel. It's not something that you're going to come back to again and again, and that's not an issue here. But my new goal is 1,000 views a month on the channel. I'm at 700,000, so it's a very attainable goal. That's my next goal. So thank you everybody for the wishes. Happy birthday from my son, Bern. That's really great. And so new video this week with Ariel, third driving video, shoulder checks. We really emphasize shoulder checks with Ariel. And my new saying in terms of shoulder checks is that not shoulder checking when driving is the same thing as not checking a gun to see if it's loaded before handling it. It is exactly the same thing. Why would you move a vehicle sideways, a 2-ton vehicle at speed, and not check to see if there are other road users or fixed objects in your path? So we really emphasize that. And make sure you look next week for the 4th lesson. And I'll talk a little bit further about this afterwards, but she encounters lane changes and has a little bit of trouble with that. So definitely have a look at that. All right, spinning our wheels, the inability of traffic policy to change driver behavior. This is an article I wrote in, just after I finished my degree in 2007. And basically I argued that education, traffic policy were not changing driver behavior. So this article, you can find it down in the description there, and look at this, spinning our wheels. I argue that there are other causes for reduced traffic crashes at the end of the 20th century and into the beginning of the 21st century. So have a look at that article that I wrote. It was an academic article. It was reviewed by peers, if you know anything about academic writing and whatnot. So there you go. Traffic deaths. So this is a cartoon that I found in 1924 in the London Free Press, which is a newspaper in Ontario, Canada, and basically said that traffic crashes were killing more people than soldiers sent to war. And actually, I was able to statistically prove that in the 20th century that motor cars killed, injured, and maimed more people than soldiers sent to war. So that tells you how significant this problem is of traffic crashes. And the other statistic about this is that the beginning of the 20th century, war, famine, and disease were the top 3 killers of the human race. And by the beginning of the 21st century, it was terminal illness, suicide, and traffic crashes were killing were the top 3 killers of human beings. So maiming and injuring, we also have that issue, because one of the best kept secrets in terms of traffic safety is that they talk about fatalities, that they've reduced the number of fatalities, and they have indeed reduced the number of fatalities, but they haven't reduced the number of traffic crashes or the number of injuries that happen when we have traffic crashes. So that needs to be addressed. And, you know, as some of you may or may not know, they're now going towards Vision Zero, where they're going to have zero traffic deaths. And, you know, that is a possibility, but I don't know how reality it is. Now, the other thing about traffic crashes, traffic accidents, is no one is immune from traffic crashes, traffic accidents. And we look at Princess Diana, James Dean, who was a famous actor in the 1950s, 1960s, Tim Horton, who is famous for the coffee shop here in Canada, which is, you know, next to patriotism. And then, of course, in a real life situation of irony, Paul Walker, excuse me, Paul Walker, who was one of the stars of sorry about that. We've had a lot of smoke here and a lot of ash because of the forest fires. So apologies. Paul Walker was one of the stars of the franchise Fast and the Furious, and he too was killed in a car crash. And this picture here is a speeding ticket that James Dean received 2 hours before he was killed in a car crash. All right, so the most number of crashes, we know this, is during clear weather, dry roads, sober drivers, and single vehicle collisions. Some of the leading causes of single vehicle crashes are fatigue, prescription medications, and over-the-counter medications. And it was interesting, I was having a discussion with one of my colleagues the other day. We were talking about Australia and how aggressive their traffic safety campaigns and advertising are, and the fact that, you know, they don't have snow, for at least very little snow if they do get it in the south at all. But the Australia does not boast any reduction, less, you know, they don't say, oh, we have less traffic crashes than other countries in the world. They don't. They have more traffic crashes, and we know this, that most of the traffic crashes happen during the summer months. Like right now, if you ask most people when traffic crashes occur, they would say, oh, you know, it's in the wintertime and then when it's most treacherous and dangerous and those types of things. And that, in fact, is not the case. Okay? Types of crashes: head-on crashes, T-bone crashes, rear-end crashes, and sideswipe crashes. Head-on crashes in the 1970s, 1980s, and into the 1990s were often fatal, but we've more or less, eliminated that problem. I mean, unless both vehicles are doing over 50 miles an hour, then it's unlikely that you're going to survive a head-on crash. But they are less fatal than they used to be. T-bone crashes now are almost always fatal. And the reason for that is because there's nothing in the vehicle to protect you. And I was talking to a trauma surgeon some months ago, and he said that it's probably one of the most awful of crashes because often it's a couple in the vehicle, the one driving turns on a left-hand turn, and then T-bone crash, their spouse is killed, and then they have to live with that guilt that they killed their spouse. Rear-end crashes, you get rear-ended, you sustain soft tissue damage, and then sideswipe crashes. And I will tell you, if you have a choice between a sideswipe crash and any of the other three crashes, always pick the sideswipe crash because you're most likely going to survive a sideswipe crash. Unless, of course, it causes you to lose control of your vehicle. But if you have a choice, pick the sideswipe crash. Okay, we know that twice the number of fatalities happen in rural areas as opposed to in cities, and these are some of the reasons why more fatalities occur in the country and in rural areas is because someone has to find you, first of all. So can they find you? Can emergency services get to you? And I mean, it's a lot better now, obviously, with helicopters and with GPS and those types of things, but most single vehicle crashes happen in country and rural areas, and many times it's difficult to determine what the cause of that crash was. Whether they were tired, they fell asleep at the wheel, whether they lost control of the vehicle, they were speeding, they were drunk, inebriated, or whatnot. So we don't really know the causes of these single vehicle crashes where people run into hydro poles, fixed objects, drive off the road into a ravine, or those types of things. So top 3 reasons for crashes: following too close, failing to yield, and speeding. And I've gone over these types of reasons and causes previously, and I would argue that following too close, not managing space well around your vehicle, is probably the number one cause of you being involved or people being involved in a crash. All right, so intoxication, by the late 1960s, this has become an enormous problem, and all kinds of grassroots movements started to try and combat this problem. Laws were implemented that you couldn't drive, and we brought in the arbitrary number of 0.05 or 0.08 blood alcohol limit to be able to driving a vehicle. Today, we have the 4Ds for new drivers, which is drinking, driving, dating, and distractions, phones, and those types of things. Of course, you get in any new vehicle, and the distractions are just like over the top. Okay, so we have bureaucrats trying to get involved here with drink driving laws. MAD, contract for life, and if you haven't broached this topic with somebody you trust, your parents or friends or family, then I look down in the description there and definitely look for the contract for life and talk about how you're going to get home if you've been drinking or imbibing or smoking marijuana or taking other drugs or whatnot, because you need to do that. You need to not be driving a motor vehicle, because often this is when things go wrong. So make the decision before you go out to party, not when you're partying, because you're not going to make a rational decision if you've already been drinking and whatnot. All right, so safety features. This all started with Ralph Nader and his book, Unsafe at Any Speed, in the 1960s. And crumple zone, safety glass, breakaway steering columns, the fuel tank placed in the right position in the vehicle so that it doesn't explode when you get rear-ended. The good old Ford Pinto. We now have safety restraints and airbags. And just an interesting trivial fact, the first airbag was invented in 1953, but they did not show up until the 1980s on luxury vehicles, i.e. the Cadillac, the Chrysler New Yorker, and other vehicles like that. All right, medical advances, and I would argue that medical advances are probably the biggest reason why we now are able to save people in car crashes, because we know about the golden hour in terms of trauma, that we have to get people into surgery right away. Most of these medical advances came out of the Vietnam War and allowed us to keep people alive and quality of life. So this is the question that I ask after a car crash. If you are kept alive, what is your quality of life? Are you missing your legs? Are you missing limbs? Did you sustain a brain injury? Those types of things and those questions. So this is the other question that you need to ask yourself. All right, so good luck on your driver's test. If we have any questions about defensive driving, about crashes, those types of things, then we can discuss all of that. All right, so we'll get back over here. All right, so Jesse says he has a driver's test on Wednesday. Good luck on that. Remember to breathe. That will cause your body to relax. So in through the nose, out through the mouth, and as well draws in lots of oxygen, gets more oxygen to the blood, and allows you to think, right? Because you're going to be under a bit of stress. So definitely be sure to breathe. Okay, there you go. Excellent. Jim, question. When making left and right turns, you're supposed to pivot a little before the turn. Jim, when you say pivot, what do you mean by pivot? Do you mean like pivot your body or pivot the car? I'm not really following what you're asking me there, my friend. Okay. So the other piece, Yankee, I failed my first driving test because I didn't back up straight while next to a curb. Could you please offer me help on improving my backing up skills in a straight line? Okay, so Yankee, yeah. So I suspect you're either in Oregon or California where you back up straight along a curb. First of all, you need to practice that, obviously. One of the things that I would suggest that you do is go out and get one of those 3 feet, 1 meter tall pylons, the delineators, and use those in a parking lot, because then you can see them, and practice backing up in a straight line on both the driver's side and the passenger side of the vehicle. Because you can see them, you can't see a curb, right? Because it's only this high and it's over there on the passenger side, so it's really tough. Start with the cones and then go out to a roadway that doesn't have a curb, like it just has a shoulder, and then practice backing up along that, and then finally going back up along a curb. But the other piece for backing up, and this is for everybody, not just those of you who are learning how to back up along a curb, pause every kind of vehicle length and look out the front window, because that will tell you whether your vehicle's straight or not, okay? So just pause and look out the front window, and that will help you out. Okay, blessed, I had a situation when I checked my surrounding. It was clear. When I crept forward, this person sped out of nowhere. He stopped making hand gestures and mouthing. Yeah, he was at a fault. Yeah, unfortunately, blessed, that happens. I'm happy that you're okay and nothing happened, so that's all good. Okay, this unfortunate aggressive behavior on the part of other drivers is going to happen. And now, when you're pulling out, it's important that you're observing correctly. Once, twice, 3 times. And when I'm making a left-hand turn from a minor road out onto a major road, as I'm coming out halfway in the lane, I'm looking over my shoulder again for one last check before I actually pull out into that roadway. Because you want to make sure what Blessed just said. 1 minute you look and it's clear, and the next thing it's like, oh my God, where did that person come from? Right? And then they get all bent out of shape and they're cussing and swearing at you. It's another smart driver asked me that same question today. What do? You take a breath, you smile, give them a little wave, all 5 fingers, don't tell them they're number 1, and then let them go and have their crash somewhere else, okay? One of the things that's really hard for us driving, for us in life is not letting negative people steal our energy. Okay, and I'm guilty of this too, right? I get 1,000 comments on my channel that say that I'm wonderful and this and that, and I have one person that has a go at me. And who am I thinking about? I'm thinking about that one person, not the 1,000 people that said, hey, thanks a lot, you're really helping us out, right? It's just the way that our brain is wired, and we gotta kind of overcome that. Don't let negative people steal your energy. And these goofballs who are cussing and swearing and being aggressive when they're driving, they're not worth your time. They're just not worth your time. So don't give them that energy, okay? Take a nice breath. Just carry on with your life, okay? Because just let them go and have their crash somewhere else. Yeah, and that's the other thing, Blessed. Yeah, you know, in the United States, they might have a gun or a weapon or something. That's for sure. So, yeah. And exactly what Goose said. It's just like the bully in the schoolyard. Just, you know, let them go. James, can you do hand-over-hand steering on a Class 7? Yes, you can, James. You can do hand-over-hand. Jesse, I'm a little nervous as to how strict they are on their marking. I fear they are going to whip out a tape measure and tell me I'm too close to the curb or something. No. Remember, Jesse, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? For example, if you turn your wheels the wrong way on a hill park, it's only 2 or 3 points, okay? It's not a big deal. And for everybody who's taking a road test, whether you're watching now or you're watching on the replay, if you make a mistake, just take a breath and carry on. Do not dwell on that mistake, because the mistake you think you made may not even have been a mistake, and it may not even be a mistake that the examiner saw or marked down on his or her sheet, right? Remember, when you go for your driver's test, okay, so first of all, when you get to the DMV, back into the parking space, okay? Remember, the first 5 minutes of your driver's test is the most important. So focus and get it right for the first 5 minutes. You get it right for the first 5 minutes. After that, everything's golden, right? Because, yes, driving examiners are marking all the little stuff that you do. Okay, you were 18 inches from the curb. That's a little bit too far, so you're going to get assigned 3 or 4 points. But at the same time, driving examiners are looking at the overall picture. They're seeing if you're doing your job, which is, does the student have due care and control of the vehicle in changing traffic conditions? And if you're doing that, and overall your driving is really good, it's not even going to matter. You're going to pass, you're going to get your license. And that's all we're going for. We're going for pass. We're not going for perfection, because I've been driving for a very long time. Goose and other people here on the channel have been driving for a very long time. We're still working on perfection. We still make mistakes, okay? Because driving is dynamic. It's changing all the time, and you can't keep up with everything, okay? So you're going to do great. You're going to do awesome, okay? Yeah, there you go. Okay, Mallory, looking where the vehicle is going is very important, especially when you're backing up and when you're driving forward. Absolutely. And one of the things that's kind of weird, Mallory, and for those of you learning to reverse, I know it's a little bit weird, but it's a bit of a weird technique, is that when you're backing up, look forward, look out the front windshield. That way you know if the car is going straight back, because if the front end's a little bit cockeyed or crooked, you're going to pick that up if you look out the front windshield. All right? And you will get a nice examiner. Most of them are really good, so that you're going to do really great. Rocky, I'm from Vietnam, but I was born in Canada on the 3rd of 1999. That was the fall of communism. There we go. Awesome. Serious. My examiner was drawing a picture of Snoopy, not joking. Well, Serious, you must have been doing a really good job with your driving if they were doodling on the examination sheet. That's really great. Irish, is there any Ohio State driving instructor test questions? Yeah, there's lots of those for sure around on the website. Yes, due care and control. That's what they're looking for, Goose, in changing traffic conditions. So can you have the correct response to changing traffic conditions in which you're driving? That's what your job is when you're doing a driving test. All right, so I want to talk about something else, because it was interesting. It kind of, came to light this week when I was working on the videos from Ariel and lesson number 4, as I said, We were merging from 2 lanes into 1 lane. You know, it was a bottleneck here in Vernon. And I was kind of thinking about that, and I talked about it in the introduction to the video. And it's interesting because I said that some driving situations that you're going to encounter over the course of your driving career, you may not encounter for months or maybe even years. For example, if you live in Florida, as some of the smart drivers here do, you may never encounter winter driving unless you move to the northern states, to North Dakota, or to Michigan or Indiana or someplace like that. You're probably never going to encounter winter driving in your lifetime. Texas, for example, this winter got a real kind of a shock when they had to figure out how to drive in the ice and snow. Same thing with some new drivers. For example, driving at night on a highway in the rain. You may not encounter that for 2 or 3 years. I was trying to remember the last time that I drove at night in the rain on a highway. It was quite a long time ago. So this is one of the things, the point of this is for the new drivers who are learning how to drive and have their learner's license and those types of things. Take this information with you after you get your license, because for many of you, I suspect probably 60-70% of you, you get your license, you started driving, 8 to 6 weeks before you had your on-road driver's test. There's a lot of things that you haven't encountered, and it was the same thing with Ariel. She had a lot of driving experience, a lot of practice in terms of driving, and she was really good at driving, but as soon as we hit those lane merges, she didn't really know how to handle them, and she didn't know what she needed to do to be able to handle them effectively. And it wasn't because she was lacking the skills, it was because she had never encountered that situation before. And I was thinking about it afterwards. You could drive around Vernon, where I live here, and probably never encounter those bottlenecks. Probably for months. So it's the same thing, driving at night in the rain, driving in the rain, driving in glaring sunlight and those types of things. These are things that you may not encounter during your driving career for weeks or months after you get your license. So there's a lot of things that a lot of learning experiences that are still in store for you after you get your license when you're driving. And that's the kind of interesting thing about it. Moonlight, yep. And remember, in the U.S., speeding through construction zones will get your driver's license taken, so be careful. Is that now changed, serious, that they've done that in construction zones, that they'll take your license away? It's not, because when I was there some years ago driving in the States, that it was the fines were doubled in construction zones. So they may have changed that since then. Lamb Sauce, is going through a yellow light an automatic fail for the purposes of a road test? Thanks. Going through a yellow light may or may not be a automatic fail. However, if you proceed on a yellow light, the examiner looks up through the top of the windshield and sees the traffic light go red, then that indeed is a fail on a driver's test, because you just ran a red light. So if you can get stopped, because just think of it this way: for the purposes of a driver's test, a red and yellow light are the same thing. All right? And for those of you who may just getting your learners and getting started on your driver's test and getting going here, be sure to head over to the Smart Drive Test website there, right on the front page. Check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time course package. Guaranteed that you'll pass first time. And as well as a bonus, we throw in both the winter and defensive driving smart courses, and you can pick that up for about $37 over at the Smart Drive Test website. So look for that. Okay, Quinn, passed my driver's test with flying colors. Thank you for your help. That is awesome, Quinn. Congratulations on passing your driver's test. That's really, really great news. Jesse, I have a question on your uphill and downhill parking. I've been told you have to make your wheels touch the curb. Is that true? I feel like it's not good for your sidewalls and your tires. Jesse, yes, you do have to make the tires touch the curb. So when you're downhill parking with a curb, you have to let the tires come in and rest on the curb. Same thing with uphill with a curb. Turn the wheels out and then let the vehicle roll back until the back of the tire touches the curb, and that will hold it in the event that the parking brake doesn't hold the vehicle while it's parked. All right, and the other piece about parking your vehicle, for all of you taking a driver's test, make sure that you apply the parking brake when you park the vehicle for the purposes of your driver's test, and as well after you get your license, even if you're in an automatic vehicle. That way you can make sure that the vehicle is going to still be there when you come back to find it. It hasn't rolled away down the hill or those types of things. Okay. So Sirius says that in various but most states will put you in court for speeding in construction zones. So yeah, be careful in construction zones for sure. Don't speed. Sagitha, what's the minimum eye lead time for driving on a highway? You know, as far as you can see down the road is what you want to do for a highway. I mean, you know, 12 seconds is how far you want to look at minimum, but you know, you really want to be looking as far as you can. The other thing about driving on highways is if the highway curves around to the right, for example, you want to be trying to look through the shrubbery to see what's coming towards you on the other side of the highway and those types of things. You just want to be using as many landmarks and, you know, your visual cues as you can when you're driving on a highway. So keep all of that in mind. Goose, merging from a 2-lane to a 1-lane, pay attention to road signs, match speed of traffic on the main, then merge and slow down to speed limit. Yes, and make sure that you're not slowing down as you're moving across on that angle for sure. And the other thing about what Goose was just saying there in terms of merging from 2 lanes into 1 lane, be proactive, pick your spot, okay? Where am I gonna merge? And if the person beside you decides that they're going to speed up, think that they're doing you a favor, because all you have to do is let off the throttle. They're going to speed up and pass you, and you just let off the throttle, and then you pull in behind them. All right, so that's what you need to do in order to move from 2 lanes into 1 lane. Okay, Drip, hello from Lithuania. Hello, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Smart Drive Test. It's awesome that you're here. Richie, is it true that the more slower you back up your vehicle, the more straight it becomes next to the curb? Richie, that's not necessarily true. However, the slower you go when you're reversing, you have more control of the vehicle and as well, more time to observe, more time to maneuver the vehicle, and more time to make corrections. There's a lot of other stuff that's going on there with backing up when going slow. Sagitha, when making left turns at intersections, when do you ideally want to make it? Can you make it once it turns red? Sagitha, if you're turning on the red, it's too late. So when you're sitting at an intersection at a traffic light and the light is going to go yellow, okay, once the light turns yellow, you need to drive straight into the intersection. You need to be checking, double check, triple check that the oncoming traffic is coming to a stop. And when you know that, or confident that the oncoming traffic has come to a stop, that's when you make your left-hand turn and move around the corner. But no, you should not be waiting for that red light. Once the light goes yellow, and you know it's going to go yellow, you're sitting there, you're waiting to move forward. You're watching the traffic light, you're watching the traffic, light, traffic, up and down. You're coming back and forth because as soon as it goes yellow, you're going to start driving straight forward into the intersection and get your vehicle moving. Hello, my friend Colin. Yeah, sorry to hear that you were rear-ended. Yeah, that really sucks. That really, really sucks. That's terrible. So, but hopefully you're okay. That's all that matters. Lamb sauce, what's the order on mirror signal shoulder check? Lamb sauce is not really an order, okay? You're going to be checking your mirror and putting your signal on at more or less the same time. And then, so you're checking your mirror and then your shoulder checking. So it's kind of one fluid motion all at the same time for those 3 things that you need to do for the purposes of observing correctly. When you're moving sideways and when you're checking to move from one lane to another. Mina, hi from Calgary. I love your videos. Thank you. Tomorrow I'm going to do a 2-hour brush up to prepare for my road test. That's awesome, and that's really prudent that you're going to do a couple-hour brush up. That's really, I applaud you on doing that because that's really going to have a great return on investment, and you're going to know that you're going to be really ready for your driver's test when you take that. Okay, so lamb sauce, I just went over that for you. Goose, yes, adjust speed when merging, either slow down or speed up to get into the gap. Absolutely, okay? And don't wait until the last second. If you are going to be merging from 2 lanes to 1 lane, make sure that you are proactive, you pick your spot. If you can, move over early because you saw the traffic signs and those types of things, then do it early. That way you're not going to get caught out when you get down to the actual merge, which is what happened to RAL. And you'll see that this week in lesson 4. Sagitha, how far should you move into the intersection when making a left turn? Should it only be your vehicle in the intersection, or should you give space for another vehicle to follow behind? Sagitha, have a look at the left-hand turn video here on the channel. That will help you out. But when you're waiting for the left-hand turn, front steer tires on the front crosswalk line. That way you'll be ready to go when you move into the intersection. Okay, Crystal, I practiced my driving yesterday and today I did it good, but I need to practice my right turns because on left-hand turns you have to make a wide turn, and my right turns, I turn too soon. Okay, so that's just a matter that, you know, you need to do a few more slow speed maneuvers. I would suggest that you maybe go to the parking lot and practice, with some pylons, forward and reverse, figure eights, going right turns and left turns and those types of things, and that'll really help you out with your right turns. The other problem with right turns is new drivers tend to turn the steering wheel too soon, and if they're turning the steering wheel too soon, that will cause you to cut the corner off and maybe, put the wheels up over the curb or those types of things. So, maybe do a few slow speed maneuvers, some parking, those types of things. All of that will help you out with space management and doing your turns and doing them more efficiently and making sure they're correct. Millicent, love your videos. How can one tell when to follow the speed limit and highway and drive according to the traffic speed? Millicent, do you have your driver's license or are you preparing for a driver's test? Because that'll depend on how I answer the question for you. Okay, so Crystal, you did better today on your left turns. Excellent. And know as well, Crystal, that you're not going to get all of this all at once, right? It's going to take some time. You're going to get better at it as you get more practice and those types of things, because it's a fair bit of work to learn how to drive a car and whatnot. So just, go easy on yourself and you're going to get it with some practice and you're going to do awesome. Okay. Mallory is explaining to my father the different stopping positions, and I've learned from your channel. Can you explain them again, please, and thank you. Okay, so 3 stopping positions at a stop sign intersection, at controlled intersections for that matter. And if somebody says to you controlled intersection, it's a stop sign, traffic light, or yield sign. Those are the 3 conditions for a controlled intersection. The 3 stopping positions are behind the stop line, behind the crosswalk or sidewalk, and if those 2 conditions don't exist, then at the edge of the road just before entering the intersection is where you stop. But be careful, because there's some kind of weird intersections out there that have these little 6-foot sidewalks, which, we have a few of those around Vernon, and every time I see one I think, well, that's kind of weird, but that's what happens. Excellent. Millicent, you're preparing for your driver's test. Okay, so you definitely want to do the speed limit, follow the road rules and those types of things for the purposes of preparing for your driver's test. Kendall, is $12,000 used car with 90,000 miles a lot on a Honda Fit, or is it perfect? Kendall, have a look at the video here on the channel, how to do research, and just go on autotrader.com. That sounds a little bit expensive for me with 90,000 miles on it. That seems a little bit pricey for a Honda Fit. So just go on AutoTrader, type in Honda Fit, the year that it is, and and look at the mileage of the different types of vehicles and look at the different prices of them and see whether that's in the ballpark of what other vehicles are selling for. Because, like I said, I don't know, 90,000 on for a Honda Fit seems a little expensive for $12,000, because you can get some pretty nice cars for $12,000. So definitely have a look at that and do some research. Okay. Serious, make sure you get a lot of practice. Yes, for sure, definitely get a lot of practice. And if you're not taking driving lessons with a driving instructor, make sure that you do that for the purposes of going for your driver's test, because that will really help you out. Because there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff you need to know to be successful on passing your driver's test. Kendall, it's a 2015. Kendall, like I said, I'm only guessing from what I know and the research that I've done on vehicles, but 2015 Honda Fit with 90,000 miles on it, that seems like a lot of money to me. I'm thinking that should be more around the $7,000-8,000 range. I think that you can get a better vehicle than that with less miles on it if you look around. Okay. Devin. Yeah, and I agree with what Devin's saying that, 90,000 miles isn't really that many miles on a vehicle. What I'm saying is the cost of the vehicle. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that, first of all, you're buying a 6-year-old car that's got 90,000 miles on it for $12,000. That seems kind of pricey to me. Okay, that's my point. It's not the fact that it's not a good car, because Hondas are good cars and they do go forever. I have a Honda CR-V with 200,000 miles on it. So yes, they will go if they're maintained, but just, I'm just thinking it should be a bit cheaper, a bit less expensive. That's all. Okay, serious, it's 90,000 kilometers is a little bit too much. Okay, so, but do your research on Auto Trader and see what you can come up with and those types of things. All right, so another 4 minutes here. I'm gonna cut it off today at 3:45. So if anybody has any questions, want to know anything more about passing the driver's test, leave a comment down in the comment section. I will be out of touch for the next 3 days because I'm driving to Ontario, 4,000 kilometers, which is about 3,000 miles. So it's a big drive here, and we're gonna get going. DC, I haven't been to Ontario yet, but we're going here as soon as 4 o'clock hits today. The kids are being dropped off. As I said, it's my son's birthday, and we're going to get going here. So, and yeah. So again, if you're going for a driver's test, make sure that you check out Pass Your Driver's Test First Time Course Package over at the Smart Drive Test website. Right on the front page there. We'll guarantee that you pass your driver's test, and as a bonus, we'll throw in both the defensive and winter driving courses as well, and make sure that you greatly reduce your chances of being involved in a crash. So check that out over there as well. And Blessed, take care of yourself. I know that it bugs you when other people are aggressive on the roadway and they're yelling and cussing, as some people are. Yeah, don't. Try not to let negative people steal your energy, okay? Eddie, any tips for maneuverability? Yes, go slow, practice. Signals, have a look at the video here on the channel. That will help you out for sure. Goose, my brother only buys Lexus cars. He's had 2 crashes, not the fault of the car. Goose, I think I'm going to start buying luxury cars for sure. Lamb Sauce, another question, is it acceptable to only look out rear view mirrors for lane changing, or is it looking rear view, side view? Lamb Sauce, you want to be doing shoulder checks, and you want to be checking your side rear view mirrors for sure. Okay, Sirius, I got a car with 50,000 miles on it for 12,000. So yes, that's what I was thinking. You can get a car with a lot less than 90,000 miles on it for sure. How to get rid of trauma from a crash, FM. One of the things you need to do is, first of all, you need to get back to driving as soon as you can. The other thing is, if it's bad and you have PTSD from a car crash, then you may have to seek help from a professional, like a therapist or sociology or something like that. So, okay, that's the best advice I can get you. And have a look at the video here on the channel on fear and anxiety, and that will definitely help you out. All right, so if you have a test coming up in the next couple of weeks, good luck on that. All the best. And if you passed your driver's test in the last week or so, congratulations. That's simply awesome. Thanks for letting us know. And we'll talk to you in next week. I'm going to try and live stream on my phone. I'm going to see how that goes. And I don't know how well it'll go in terms of answering comments and those types of things, but I'll do what I can to try and keep the live streams going here while I'm on holidays, so we can stay in touch and help you to be successful on passing your driver's test. Manette, how to change lanes? Is it signal, mirror? No, mirror, signal, shoulder check is how you change lanes. Okay, so all the best. Have a great day. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.